Hello and welcome to the All Things Small Business Podcast, brought to you by DAU. I'm Ken Carkhuff, DAU's Small Business Learning Director and your host. This series is offered as a continuing dialogue between government, industry, and academia on acquisition-related issues that impact small businesses who support the defense industrial base. Let's join the conversation. I'm Ken Carkhuff, the Small Business Learning Director at Defense Acquisition University, known as DAU, and I'm talking about a new course that's recently deployed, and I'm real excited about it. The new course is SBP 2100V, as in Victor, which stands for a virtual course, and it's a course on subcontracting. It's the new course that replaces the older course, the legacy course, SBP 210V, Victor, for subcontracting. It will be, or it is in the new credential that will be deployed by the end of the fiscal year, and it'll be one of the mandatory learning elements. The course consists of certain elements that tie to subcontracting, and it's really important for small business professionals because it is in the small business credential. But the course also is something that contracting officers or program managers may want to take as well, because the majority of the contracts have a subcontracting requirement. The course is virtual instructor led, which means there'll be an instructor with you the entire time, just like I'm talking to you. The course provides an overview of subcontracting as a means of maximizing small business opportunities. And that's really important because the FAR mandates that federal agencies maximize opportunities for small business. And that can be either as a prime contract award, a sole source, or a competitive, full and open, set aside, or it can be as having subcontracting requirements for the prime when they win the contract. Subcontracting is one of the methods to maximize small business opportunities. It talks about the small business professional's role in advising on subcontracting requirements. So the small business professional is an advisor to the acquisition teams throughout the acquisition process. It covers basic subcontracting concepts, such as the types of subcontracting plans and the reporting against those plans. Who's responsible for determining whether a subcontracting plan is required? Who's responsible for reporting? Who's responsible for compliance? All of those topics. It gets into detail about subcontracting reporting and through the electronic subcontracting reporting system, and who is responsible to do all of those activities throughout the life of the contract. It talks about applicable regulations that apply to subcontracting. It talks about the electronic systems that are used either for the market research portion or the reporting of subcontracting through the life of the contract by the prime contractor. It talks about how important market research is up front so that you can determine, the government can determine whether or not subcontracting is a requirement, and if so, what is the expectation? What's realistic? What can industry deliver as far as performance on that contract? It talks about the role of a small business professional in encouraging and shaping subcontracting strategy during the pre-solicitation phase. It talks about how subcontracting can increase small business utilization. It's a great way to increase small business participation by having subcontracting plan and having realistic goals that are targets that the prime is going to meet with small business utilization. Talks about how to assess subcontracting plans. And it talks about evaluating small business participation. So those are different elements, and we talk about that a lot in the class. Subcontracting compliance, and that's an area I think that we can all do a better job of ensuring subcontracting compliance, and how a small business can become a subcontractor. Throughout the class, the students get an opportunity to do graded and ungraded activities, and also to work on subcontracting related situations to show that they have mastered the course. The course does have a final exam, so the last day of the class, there'll be a final exam. It's a 5-day class, so you start on a Monday and you'll finish on a Friday. However, now that we have the new course, we have made some updates from the earlier course, which is the reason that we're deploying a new course. And whenever you see a 4-digit number, it's a hint that it's a new course that's been deployed by DAU. So with the 4-digit designator 2100, it's a new course. We are employing some new learning technologies and processes in the class. The graded pre-course work, which is about 2 hours, is what we expect you to take to students. That will be an opportunity to work on answering some prompts in a discussion board format. You'll have to answer those about a week prior to the course. Then about a day or two later, you'll have to respond to at least one of your classmates, one of their prompt responses. Not something like, "Hey, Jack, I knew you 10 years ago. I'm glad you're in class," but taking a look at their response and providing some feedback. I learned something, or have you thought about this, or I kind of would approach it differently, or I like the way you approached it, and I think maybe I would consider this. Some type of things, elements to increase the learning. You'll also have an opportunity to introduce yourself to the class. There'll be a separate opportunity as part of the pre-course. The subcontracting prompts are graded, and it's primarily a participation. You complete the work, you get credit for it, but it is graded, and it does give you an opportunity to earn points towards your final grade for the course. The class introduction is not mandatory, but it is strongly encouraged, really, really strongly encouraged. There's a couple basic prompts that you'll answer, and then it's an opportunity for students to go in and make those kinds of comments. I knew, we served together and glad we're in class, or, "Hey, I see you're from Ohio, I'm from Ohio," or, "I saw that one of your things that you really like is jazzercise and I'm an instructor," or something like that, to develop class rapport. So there'll be a mandatory element for the pre-course assignment, and then a strongly encouraged class introduction. There will not be the long class introductions anymore on the first day of class. That's helping to reduce the learning time to get to the elements of the class. So on the morning of the first day, you'll just be able to say who you are, what command you're with. So we really encourage you to do the pre-course introduction, so the classmates know who's in the class. The other thing that we did is we're adding a tool called Mentimeter, which is another way for students to respond to an instructor prompt as opposed to a class discussion. The prompt will be open and the students can reply on the screen. There's no tag to a student, so it doesn't say Ken is responding to this. So some students that may not feel as comfortable coming up in chat or speaking to the class because everybody knows that they're making that comment, they can add to the discussion on the Mentimeter, and then the instructor can then bring all the information and have a class discussion based on the information that came in, and it can be displayed in different forms. So it's kind of fun for the instructor to use it as a learning tool. I expect we'll probably have a survey tool, or the use of a survey, once or twice during the week as well, just for adult learning, to kind of shake it up a little bit and encourage adults to participate. And the other change is that we have added some asynchronous learning. So, for those that don't know, that are not in education, asynchronous means basically the student is learning on their own. So, the old class was entirely instructor led. This class will be predominantly instructor led, but one of the lessons will be asynchronous, which is where the student will go into the lesson, him or herself, go through the lesson, go through the activities, and then we'll bring you back into an open session with the instructor, and the instructor will have a guided class discussion just to make sure that all of the learning elements, the ELOs, the enabling learning objectives for that lesson, have been achieved by all students. We have tried these in a earlier class, SBP 2020V, which is a required course for this course. So if you're in SBP 2100, you must have taken the earlier course, the mandatory prerequisite, one of which is SBP 2020V, or the earlier version of part of the course, SBP 102V, which is no longer available. It's retired. So most of the students will come into the class having taken the requirement of SVP 2020V. And you should be familiar with Mentimeter. You should be familiar with the discussion board and those types of learning techniques and the asynchronous learning, because we added those all into the earlier course as well. So the two new courses in the credential will be delivered to the students very similar. So I'm real excited about this course. It is updated the learning. There was not a whole lot of structural changes to the material from the earlier course, but what we did is we kind of got rid of some of the redundancies. We revised the way that the course is delivered. We added some new information, updated information, and if it goes the way we really expect, this will be another great opportunity going forward for the small business students primarily, but other acquisition professionals as well, students. You must be a DoD personnel, so you have to either be active duty or a government civilian within DoD to take this course. But I believe going forward, it's going to be a great opportunity for learning. There'll be some information, I think, at the end about where you can find some more course information in the DAU iCatalog, and also how to register for the course. So again, just wanted to share what's going on. So everybody out there that's interested in increasing their learning through DAU is now aware of a new course that's been deployed, small business professional course within the new small business credential, SVP 2100V subcontracting. So I'll see you in class.
Thank you for following the All Things Small Business podcast. Also, as a special thank you to my producer, Dr. Renee Reynolds. Please be a champion of this podcast. Till next time, stay engaged and collaborate across your networks. Everyone's talents and skills are needed within the defense industrial base as we fulfill the national defense strategy together.